Beautiful black, beautiful hair, gorgeous green eyes.
I would look at those damn eyes and I'd say, how is that fair?
She's not tall. I think she was probably about 5'3" or 5'4", maybe. Not a big presence, but you knew she was in the room. I mean, light shone out of her eyes.
She was just naturally beautiful. Like it was, she didn't even wear a lot of makeup.
She was always dressed to the nines, every accessory, jewelry.
The boys were lining up for Ms. Ciesielski. There's no question.
She also wrapped that beauty around a phenomenal personality, just bubbly and talkative, and you just couldn't help but notice when she walked into a room.
Oh God, growing up was at our house. At our house, early memories was everybody was always at our house. I remember, our cousins would come over and we'd do the crazy carpet slide down the stairs. We'd put all the cushions from the couch on, just outside playing, making forts and hanging out with the neighborhood kids.
It was fun. We had fun. We were always doing something that we weren't supposed to be doing, but it was fun when we were doing it. Marla was always the one doing something funny or crazy or that sort of thing. Kerry was always responsible and reasonable. And then, I was the troublemaker.
I was always very envious of the Callahans. They seemed to have a lot of fun. Harry and Cheryl, I knew they were, sometimes heavy-handed with the girls, but at the same time, there seemed to be a lot of leeway and a lot of fun in the family. We had this huge circle of friends, and there were, just everybody swapped sleepovers, but I always enjoyed going to the Callahans. They would host parties. They had a basement that was full, it was big space, pool table. Everyone loved going to Kerry's.
My dad was my my hero. Bottom line, they had a great special connection, just something, I don't know, maybe it's the oldest daughter thing, but they just truly had a really special bond.
He made you feel so important and so special, no matter your age, no matter where you came from. And, Harry was revered on this island, in this city.
I mean, I'm a little bit biased, but he had a really big family practice. I think one of the biggest ones in Canada at one point.
It was just renos on our house. We had finished our basement, and there was an electrician that came in with part of that. And he's like, well, what's your last name? Your maiden name? And I said, Callahan. And I guess he went home and called his mom and was like, I'm at Dr. Callahan's daughter's place. It was a big deal that he was at our house.
And he was a master joker and a master funny man. I remember he used to say this little phrase, you'll wonder where your boobies went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent, Boobie Land. I was just I'll never forget that. And that was Harry, because we were always searching for our boobies in grades, 7, 8, and 9. Just being part of the Callahan clan was something that you wanted. You wanted to be associated with them because they were truly a revered family. I always remember her on the playground because she was the kid that always had the best of everything, and she always was so put together. And I was this buck-toothed, red-headed, freckled, foreigner coming in from off island. And I thought, oh God, I wish I could be her, because she had such a personality then and a great group of friends. And she was always so put together.
Oh, I remember what she was like in high school. I would always borrow her clothes because we were close in size, and she always had the best stuff. Kerry was athletic. I wouldn't say she was a jock, but she was always really good at everything she did. She was very I guess she was kind of jockey, but she played field hockey, she played basketball.
Gymnastics was a big one. We took it at the West Kent Elementary School, and Kerry was very talented.
She's beautiful, she's smart, super competitive, good at sports, good at school, lots of friends. So, it was easy to want to emulate her, right?
Kerry was just, she paved the way. Kerry was a fabulous golfer. She started golfing when she was when we were kids. We went across the way from our cottage and used to hit balls in the field.
Our parents would drop us off first thing in the morning on a Saturday morning at 9 a.m., age 12, 13, 14, taking lessons, and then we'd go play around, and Kerry and I would always play together.
She didn't hit it far, but she hit it straight every single time, and she was a fabulous chipper and putter.
Yeah, it's great. She kicks her husband's butt. So, yeah, Kerry's the best one on the golf course when we're out there. So she beats all the husbands.
When I went to visit her in June, before she passed, we played 18 holes, and she beat me.
She's home for my wedding, and she's on the phone with this guy like 24/7, it seems. And my dad's actually asking, like, who is this guy that Kerry's talking to? And like, why is she on the phone with him all the time? And then she ended up inviting him to my wedding. So we were home like a week or two before the wedding. I flew home from Calgary. And then the first time we met him, Brent and I met him, was like the day before my wedding. When you think about it, for some guy to come in and meet everyone's family like all at once, like talk about getting thrown into the fire, right? So, it wasn't like I'm going to meet a sister and then meet another sister and maybe down the road meet some parents. No, you met everybody at the same time. So he did well to, throw himself into that and carried himself well doing it.
Oh God, she was so googly over him.
Their wedding was epic. They, Chet, he's from the United States, and he had a lot of frat brothers. There was like 5 or 6 of them that came down. They drove all the way down from Indiana, South Bend, Indiana, or somewhere all around Indiana, and they had some Corvettes. They stayed at our cottage. It was just like super classy. She picked a black and white theme, and she had this most beautiful like bouquet of like, it was fuchsia roses.
Chet, very intelligent, very smart, very streetwise, common sense. But Kerry let him think that he wore the pants in the family, and which we all know is not true.
2 years ago, we were on a golf course and she almost hit a hole-in-one. She hit it an inch from the pin, took a picture, sent it to Chet, and he said, "You better put that out." Yeah, they were buds.
Kerry always wanted to go into occupational therapy. She volunteered at the hospital, and I think she just really kind of fell in love with it. So she went into it right after high school.
She was great at her job. So Kerry is an occupational therapist, as is Marla, but Kerry worked with kids like 6 and under. She like very passionate about these kids. And like, I can even remember like her working with one little fella for 2 years before they could even sit up. It seems like such a simple little thing, but it was a huge accomplishment. Started in Connorsville, and from Connorsville, they ended up in Canton, Michigan. In Canton, Michigan, they went to Oakville, Ontario. From Oakville, they ended up back in Canton. Then from Canton, they moved to Fort Wayne, Indiana. And then from there, they were in Pune, India for a couple of years. Then from Pune, they came back and moved to Geneva in Illinois, and now they're in St. Charles. And then a couple of years ago, they bought a second home in Fort Myers, Florida. So Kerry would spend her time between the two places.
It was almost hard to keep up where she was and where she and Chet were going and where the kids were going. She's tennis and traveling and living here and living abroad, and just was so wonderful that she was taking advantage fully of this life that she was given. There was always this eventual reach out. And I think one of the most important times was she initiated in March of 2020, just as the world was shutting down, this group chat that we, I think 6 or 7 of us are forever grateful for. And she was the one that started that. And we kept in touch more so since March 2020, via Zoom, via, just a group chat, however it was, than a lot of, a decade prior to that. And I look back at that now, and several others of us have talked about it, that if it wasn't for Kerry, we would never have all gotten back as closely as we are into each other's lives. I remember hearing the news and how deeply in love she was with being a mother and being their mother?
She was very patient. Well, she was a pediatric therapist, so she knew she wasn't stressed. She was just at ease. She knew she didn't nothing would really freak her out. I mean, she was just easygoing. It was natural for her. I don't think I was a really good aunt initially. One Christmas we were in Oakville, Ontario, and Dino and I came, and so we ended up having to sleep in the study on the floor. And Kerry and Jana had young kids, and we didn't have any kids at the time. And they would wake us up so freaking early, right? And we would be complaining that these kids were making this noise, and if we were on vacation. And I remember Kerry actually getting a little mad at me. She came into the study to get something, and I, had a few words with each other, and she was just saying how selfish I was. I had no idea until I had my own kids. Jana and Kerry were great. Had I known, I would have probably got up and helped her out.
She was definitely the nurturer, she was the anchor for that family. And I think whatever happened, she was the one that was smoothing over, making sure everybody understood from each other's perspective. Both parents shine through both children. All four of them have a smile that'll dazzle anybody, right?
She respected both the relationships with each other, and she respected both her kids and their choices, and she stood behind them 100%, and she was so proud of them.
It was kind of the infamous meeting at the basketball game where Jay and Allie were both playing on the same team, and they had just arrived from India. And Kerry walked in, sat behind us, and we just leaned forward and said, "Hey, is that your daughter out there?" Whatever number it was. And we got introduced that way. Kerry made the comment, we should really get together sometime.
We were brand new to the neighborhood as well. I was a new wife, a new mom. And this just beautiful woman, beautiful family moved in right next door to us. And I knew instantly we were going to be friends. I think I saw for the first time that here's a woman that she has a career, she has children, she's, she's doing it all. And I felt like, if she can do it, I think I can do this too. Jaden and Cannon were older. They were these wonderful little human beings that brought so much joy to our life.
They were new to suburban Chicago. They were just easy, fun to be with, always up for anything we would, be like, "Oh, you want to go do this? Should we do this?" Yeah, always. She's very sporty. So I said, "Do you play tennis?" Because I played a lot of tennis. And she's like, yeah, I play tennis. And I was like, "Oh, well, if you want to come, maybe you can come drill with my team."
I was co-captain with Angie Paulson, and Angie and Kerry had met at a kids' sporting event. Angie asked her if she played tennis, and she said yes, and she really didn't. So she showed up on the court, and we wouldn't have known she didn't play. Angie and I were really excited to have her, though, because what we did know about her was that she was a scratch golfer. So we knew we were going to have a real athlete on the court with us, and she was.
Kerry really brought me out of my shell, and she reached out to other people in our community, and she organized these events all the time, and she would have little parties at her house, and Kerry and Chet were kind of the ringleaders of this. They formed this great big euchre group, and we would all get together once a month. There were probably 8-10 couples, and we rotated homes, but that was all Kerry's doing. That was her heart and spirit of, bringing community together and making friends. I wouldn't say that she enjoyed the spotlight. She was just the one that was going to make sure everyone was having a really good time.
I'll say this, I can't imagine game night at the Ciesielski household because they are all so competitive. There was no way she was giving in, and they'd go out and play as a family. And I'm telling you, the competitive nature of that crew was just always fun to watch and be like, "Oh boy, she's not gonna like that one."
Yeah.
And I think it drove her to get better and better if she wasn't just what in her mind was great at something.
It wasn't like a mentorship. It was just this true sort of genuine friendship that took off from the beginning. And she was warm and kind and just someone that I felt super safe with and that I could tell anything to. So that the friendship was very natural.
I remember being kind of both shocked and disappointed that she had chosen McGill, which was so far away. But I was again, another admirable quality of hers was just to know that she wanted to do what she wanted to do and she was going to do it.
I feel like she taught me how to be myself. She taught me how to be grateful. She taught me how to be supportive. She taught me how to be smart, funny.
Kerry really showed me how important friendships are, and when you take the time to invest in them, that they'll pay dividends for a lifetime.
Well, she got breast cancer right after she came home from India.
I remember the first time she got sick. And there was a sense of hope.
Not that it was a breeze, but she made it look like a breeze. She lost her hair. She looked beautiful without her hair. She looked beautiful with her hair. She tolerated the chemo. She worked through it. She continued to see these young kids and would be down on the floor playing with them when she was going through chemo. Like she rocked it. And then she was cancer free.
Kerry went into remission and grew, was in a much better place. They actually came to visit us. Jaden came along with, and that was one of those times when we were able to just kind of catch up. She was healthy. She had beaten cancer. We were kind of celebrating, and it was just a huge victory knowing that all that was behind her.
Our group chat, she updated us this past late spring to say, I'm dealing with this again. And there was not that same feeling of hope.
She and I were on the golf course, and she said she wanted to make sure that we played at least once a week because she started to realize time could be limited. It was amazing how good she could look, even going through treatment. I mean, I went wig shopping with her after she found out, and she knew she was going to lose her hair, and probably pretty quickly because she had lost her hair already. So we went wig shopping, and she got in the car and she was glowing. She did tell me when she started treatment, every morning he would rub her back and ask her, what can I do for you today? He's strong, and he was with her. He was with her the whole time.
Spent last Christmas together. We had the most beautiful time in her condo.
Really, what struck me was her resolve and her grace.
Our daughter got married last summer, and that was the last time that I got to see her. But it was so important to her to come, and I didn't know how sick she was because she wouldn't let on. She wouldn't let on.
We were all sending her love and hugs, and we kept, sending pictures to her. And the week she passed, our friend Becky wrote that Monday in the group and said, Kerry, I'm thinking about you today. And then I wrote the next day, and I said, me too, hugs. And then a couple of others. We didn't hear from her.
We'd show her picture after the wedding, after Kerry had passed, and people were like, what? She looks fantastic. How is that even possible? So just even up until the end, not complaining, putting her heart into something that she wanted as a goal, and she was bound and determined to be at that wedding. When
she did visit at home to PEI, You know, she was obviously, there was a whirlwind of people to visit and this and that and the other thing, but it was also important for her to be with Chet and the kids here on the island. And I think that circle was extremely tight, but I think to have those times on PEI with her husband and her children were the most important things to her.
She was a friend of a lifetime to me.
And that's the way everybody is going to remember her, as just this beautiful light. And there's just no other way to describe her.
I'm very, very truly blessed to have had Kerry in my life.
We're so lucky. We're just lucky.
Chet, Cannon, Jay, I can't say that we're walking in your shoes, but know that we're walking beside you. And if there's anything you ever need, because everybody goes through this and experiences this stage of life differently. And so you're going to experience things on different days and different times and different schedules. Just know that you're loved.